Recently, we got the release of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem, the new theatrical animated movie based on the Ninja Turtles, and I love it so much. Like, oh my god, it's so good. Like, the animation is just incredible. Like, oh man, all the action scenes look great. They just, like, the movement of it all is so good. And I love the designs of the mutants. Like, they're all so weird and, like, have, like, these exaggerated features. And they just look so awesome. And, like, oh man, the visual style overall is just so good. And, like, I love the brotherly dynamic between the turtles. And I love, like, the overprotective dad, Splinter. And, like, it's just... I could gush about this movie for so long. It's honestly, like, if Spider-Verse didn't come out this year, then this would be my favorite animated movie of the year, honestly. But it's at least, like, a good second. It's a good second for best animated movies, for me, personally, my favorites. Like, man, there's so much I want to say about this movie, and one day I will. But today, I don't want to. I'll save that for another time, for a special occasion. For now, I want to take a look back at the last animated Ninja Turtles movie we got back in theaters. The very first one, back in 2007, from Imaji Studios, TMNT. I don't know why I said it weirdly like that, TMNT. I should have just said it like that. I don't know why. I wanted to look back on this movie because, like I said, it was like the first theatrically released animated movie for the Turtles, but also because it kind of holds a special place in my heart because I love the Turtles. I basically have loved them my whole life, and honestly, TMNT I think is where it started. Everyone remembers their first. Oh, well, actually, like, not me specifically. I can't remember if my first was TMNT or, like, Fast Forward, one of the seasons of the 2003 Ninja Turtle show called Fast Forward, where they were in the future or something. I had DVDs for both, which is how I, like, first learned about the Turtles, but I don't remember which one I watched first. I just remember watching them, and then, like, that was, like, the thing that introduced me to the Turtles, one of those. But we'll say it was one of those. But TMNT is definitely one of them. It's either the first one or at least one of my first introductions to the Turtles. Going back to the movie, yes, it released back in 2007. However, I did not watch it in theaters. I think I was only like 3 or 4 when the movie came out. So I watched it a few years later when I had a DVD of it. I don't know who gave it to me, but I just had it and I watched it and I thought, man, this movie's pretty cool. And I think I still have the DVD, but it's probably like super scratched now. But that doesn't matter. The point is, like, I watched the movie, I thought, man, these are pretty cool. And I also had the season of the 2003 Ninja Turtle show where they were in the future called Fast Forward. And I watched that and I also thought, man, it's pretty cool. And then by the time the 2012 show started airing on Nickelodeon, like it was premiering, I thought, oh, hey, I know those characters. I guess I'll check that out. And that was the thing that really made me love the Turtles. And then that led to my whole obsession with them and caused me to, like, buy the figures, including the Mutant Mayhem ones, which I did a video on not too long ago. And it's doing really well, so thanks for that, guys. But yes, I have a huge obsession with the Turtles. They're, like, probably, I think they are my favorite franchise ever, my favorite comic book franchise, and I just love them. I just love the Turtles. And to the TMNT 2007 and, like, I guess the Fast Forward show were the things that helped snowball this whole thing. So I thought, hey, let's look back on this movie because I'm a bit surprised that it doesn't really, maybe not too surprised, but it doesn't really get talked about a lot nowadays. Like, you hear some people talking about it, like going like, oh, I guess it was alright, or it's a movie, and it hasn't really left that big of a mark on the Turtles franchise. And I'm here to ask, should it be remembered more? Should it be remembered more fondly, or at least, like, hey, do I like it? And the answer is yeah, I do like it. Oh, different location? What is going on here? Well, you see, I was originally filming this episode in my room back in my house before, like about a week or so before I would, like, go ahead and, like, move into this new place that you see right here, where I would be at for my first semester of my sophomore year at college. However, the ring light that I used to hold my phone while recording, yes, I used a phone to record, shut up, I decided to just break out on me. And I knew that I had a backup, but it was here, where I had already moved some of my stuff already, and I realized that I wouldn't be able to, like, get to it until, like, I would officially go ahead and, stay here for, like, my time in my, my new semester at, like, college. So yeah, rest of the video is gonna have to be here, but I'm still, so yeah, I don't want to re-record any of that stuff, so let's just deal with it. So the setup for this story in this movie is that it seems to take place in, like, this time where, like, the Turtles have already been established as, like, crime fighters in New York City. So we don't really get to see their origin. We do hear about it from this narration by Lawrence Fishburne, which is pretty cool, I think, but, like, I don't know, something about it is also a little bit funny. Like, Lawrence Fishburne is trying really hard to make the Turtles sound so cool, and I think they're cool. I think they're epic. But, like, the way he describes them, he goes like, 4 brothers named after the Renaissance artists. They protect New York City. And it's like, in his whole narration where he's describing the Turtles, he doesn't actually say that they're turtles. And I just think that's kind of funny. But anyway, in this story, we kind of see the turtles separated in the beginning, or like at least Leonardo is separated from the others. He has like left the turtles to go off for like a year or so, I believe, or might have been more, into training to become a better leader because Master Splinter told him to. And we see how the other turtles are doing as well. Michelangelo has taken a job as a party entertainer. He wears a disguise when he does that. We see Donatello is working in the sewers as in like IT person, I believe, kind of helping people with their computers and through the phone and whatnot. And Raphael is the only one who has continued doing crime fighting, or like crime fighting in New York. And this time he is doing it as the Night Watcher, which according to like I believe a comic that came out tied to this movie, but before the movie came out, the Night Watcher was another vigilante that was just in New York City, but then I guess died, and then Raphael took up the mantle, which I think is pretty darn interesting. Kind of wish that was actually in the movie, like we got to see that explored, but like still, I think like the Night Watcher outfit that he has is really cool. It's basically a giant metal turtle, but I think that's pretty neat. It's a giant metal turtle. April and Casey are in this movie too. They're not in it a lot, but they're important. They're still important. They got good stuff in this movie. We see April is an archaeologist, I want to say. I don't know. She explores other places, and she like found these 4 stone statues and brought them over to this guy who was looking for them, Alex Winters. He's like this millionaire who lives in New York, and that's gonna be important later on, so remember that. Also, I guess I'll just say this here, spoilers for a movie that came out like 10 plus years ago. So the setup for this story in this movie is that it seems to take place in like this time where like the turtles have already been established as like crime fighters in New York City. So we don't really get to see their origin. We do hear about it from this narration by Lawrence Fishburne, which is pretty cool, I think, but like I don't know, something about it is also a little bit funny. Like Lawrence Fishburne is trying really hard to make the turtles sound so cool, and I think they're cool. I think they're epic. But like the way he describes them, he goes like 4 brothers named after the Renaissance artists. They protect New York City, and it's like in his whole narration where he's describing the turtles, he doesn't actually say that they're turtles. And I just think that's kind of funny. But anyway, in this story, we kind of see the turtles separated in the beginning, or like at least Leonardo is separated from the others. He has like left the turtles to go off for like a year or so, I believe, or might have been more, into training to become a better leader because Master Splinter told him to. And we see how the other turtles are doing as well. Michelangelo has taken a job as a party entertainer. He wears a disguise when he does that. We see Donatello is working in the sewers as in like IT person, I believe, kind of helping people with their computers and through the phone and whatnot. And Raphael is the only one who has continued doing crime fighting, or like crime fighting in New York. And this time he is doing it as the Night Watcher, which according to like I believe a comic that came out tied to this movie, but before the movie came out, the Night Watcher was another vigilante that was just in New York City, but then I guess died, and then Raphael took up the mantle, which I think is pretty darn interesting. Kind of wish that was actually in the movie, like we got to see that explored, but like still, I think like the Night Watcher outfit that he has is really cool. It's basically a giant metal turtle, but I think that's pretty neat. It's a giant metal turtle. April and Casey are in this movie too. They're not in it a lot, but they're important. They're still important. They got good stuff in this movie. We see April is an archaeologist, I want to say. I don't know. She explores other places, and she like found these 4 stone statues and brought them over to this guy who was looking for them, Alex Winters. He's like this millionaire who lives in New York, and that's gonna be important later on, so remember that. Also, I guess I'll just say this here, spoilers for a movie that came out like 10 plus years ago. But anyway, back to the Turtles. Leonardo returns, which means the Ninja Turtles are back together and they can be a crime-fighting team again. And Michelangelo and Donatello are very happy about this, but there's still some conflict between Leonardo and Raphael, as there usually is in a lot of Ninja Turtle stories. And what doesn't help is that suddenly there are these monsters in New York City, just these monsters, and they're all like, what is this all about? And the Foot Clan seems to be wanting them, and also there are these 4 stone warriors. Remember those statues I mentioned earlier? Well, they're alive in this. What? How? Well, let me get into that. It was explained earlier in the movie during the narration with Lawrence Fishburne, and I decided to mention it now because I thought it would go along with this whole thing I was doing. But the point is, in the opening narration, he says that there is this warrior and his like 4 siblings, and they opened this gate that unleashed 13 monsters up onto the world and allowed the main guy to live forever. But the other warriors returned into stone statues, and that warrior that lived forever, or at least for 1,000 years, was Alex Winters, and now he's like trying to get all the monsters back, and so that way they can like return them, and then he can lose his immortality, and so can like the other four warriors who are now stone statues, but they want to live forever, so they try to backstab him, and yeah, that's also something else that happens in the movie. It seems kind of random, but like, you know, it is kind of random, if I'm being honest. These are characters who I don't believe were ever in any Ninja Turtles properties before this, and I don't think they appear in any Ninja Turtles projects after this, from what I can tell. But there's cool stuff about them, like the monster stuff. I think is pretty cool. Like, we see some of the monsters in the movie, and I think design-wise, a lot of them look pretty cool, and some of them are even based off of like urban legends, like the Yeti or the Jersey Devil, which is a neat detail. I like that. However, there is kind of like this like sort of plot hole in the movie that does kind of still linger in my head anytime I rewatch the movie, where I just go, wait, if these monsters have been around for like over 1,000 years or 1,000 years, why are they all just suddenly now in New York near like the time where like the planets align so they can like capture them and return them? Like, where were they? Did the turtles ever encounter them before? It's like, what's this all about? I don't know. I just feel like it would have made more sense if they had said like in the 1,000 years, like Alex Winters had captured like maybe some of them and they just need to get like the last few, or like maybe he had all of them, but then just a little bit before like, you know, it's time to return them, they all escape, and then boom, New York City, that's where they are, and then the turtles like, you know, find them and whatnot. Like, I don't know, I feel like that would have made a bit more sense, but still, like I said, the monster stuff is kind of cool, kind of cool. Also, I keep calling the 4 stone statue warriors the 4 stone statue like warriors, because besides Alex Winters, I don't remember their names. I don't know if they had names, but design-wise, they're pretty cool, and like, yeah, I'll say that they look cool. I mentioned before that the whole like you know, the whole monster thing and these like 5 warriors, it's like kind of a little bit mucky in some of the stuff, like, you know, where you kind of like have to go, that doesn't entirely make sense, and it's all that. But let's talk about stuff in the movie that I legitimately think is really good. Like, for example, I like the idea of like the turtles like being like somewhat separated, or at least Leonardo being separated, and there being like this divide between the turtles and them having to come back together to defeat this greater threat. I think it's a good idea. My only problem with that is it's like they mainly do that with Leonardo and Raphael, and what they do with Leonardo and Raphael is really good. I will talk about that in a bit, but Michelangelo and Donatello are just kind of left off to the side. Like, we know they had like other jobs during this time, like, you know, Michelangelo was a party entertainer, and like Donatello was like had this other job as like an IT guy, I believe, which I mentioned. But like, besides that, it's like, again, very much left off to the side, which is kind of an issue with other turtle stories as well, where like not all the turtles are given a lot of screen time or a lot of important stuff to do. So it's not really just a fault of this one Ninja Turtles movie alone. It's like, you know, yeah, it's a whole thing. However, like I said before, I think it works really well with what they do with Leonardo and Raphael in this movie, where I said Raphael became this like vigilante in New York called the Night Watcher, and Leonardo is kind of going like, I don't like this Night Watcher guy, and Raphael goes, well, I think he is doing a good job, I think. And that's not exactly how he says it. He sounded way cooler. He's voiced by Nolan North in the movie, so imagine like what I said, but better phrase and done by him, so it's good. But basically, yes, there's like of course that conflict between the two, and of course Raphael is still jealous of like Leonardo, because he's seen as like the better student to their Master Splinter. And of course, with the whole Leonardo being gone, Raphael kind of felt abandoned, saying like, look, I did this stuff, like all this, you know, protecting New York City while you were gone, and so I'm not gonna I don't want everything to go back to normal. I was doing fine without you, that kind of conflict. And like, oh my god, it's so good, especially in this one scene when it's in the rain, and then like they're in this conflict, and like Leonardo finally finds out that the Night Watcher is Raphael, and it's like, bro, the exchange between James Arnold Taylor, who voices Leonardo, and Nolan North, who voices Raphael in this, is so good. And then the fight scene and like the visuals, oh my god, it's like easily one of my favorite scenes from the Turtles ever, like from the Turtles franchise ever. It is just so good, and I think it just like works really well. Like, I think this movie does that really good, like this whole conflict between Leonardo and Raphael. Like, out of all like the story Ninja Turtle stories that have that, which is quite a few of them, I think this is one of my favorites of like how it specifically tackles it. Except there is one thing that kind of sticks in my mind when I watch that scene. It's like the way Leonardo phrases like his hatred like towards the Night Watcher. He seems to be upset that like he's like a vigilante doing like crime fighting, but like that's what they are. They're also vigilantes. who do crime fighting in New York. So it's like, I think maybe they were trying to phrase it as if he doesn't like the methods the Night Watcher does it, because Raphael is very aggressive when he fights, so like the Night Watcher is aggressive. So maybe that's what they're saying, and I think that's what they're implying, but like, if that is what they were trying to say, then I feel like they could have phrased it better. It just seemed like he just hated he hated vigilantes, that's what I want to say, in general, but like, you four are vigilantes too. But anyway, I think that stuff is good, like I said, and it leads to a really good emotional scene where like Leonardo is captured by the Four Stone Warriors. They at first they think he's one of the monsters, but they realize that he's not. But they go like, let's take him anyway. That way we can sabotage the plan that Alex Winters has. And Raphael basically like feels upset about this because it was his fault because of the fight. He like just left, and then like, you know, he just like kind of left him behind there. And we see him go to Master Splinter saying that he messed up, and then Master Splinter kind of says like, hey, you may not be my favorite student, but that doesn't mean Leonardo is my favorite son. And, you know, kind of saying like, you know, that he still loves Raphael, like as his son, you know, he doesn't have like favorites, or like, you know what I mean. It's good, it's a good scene. And of course they all team up to go ahead and save Leonardo, and it's like that emotional stuff is really good. I like all that. Well, I think the some of the story bits with like the monsters and everything in the warriors is a bit like, you know, not perfect, and has like some things that make you go, okay, yeah, maybe you could have found a better way to do it, but it still has cool elements in there. And plus I think the stuff with the turtles is really strong, and by that I mean Leonardo and Raphael, but still really strong. Another thing that I really like about this movie is the voice cast in this. Like, okay, so this is a big theatrically released animated movie, you know, released in theaters and whatnot, and most of the time you would see a bunch of celebrities, you know, right? And this movie did something different where like the main voice actors, like the turtles, are voiced by professional voice actors, and there are celebrities in this movie, but they play minor roles that are still quite important, but like they're not the main stars. That's the turtles. And honestly, I think that is awesome. I think this movie has like the perfect balance of like celebrity and professional voice actors in an animated movie. So I mentioned before James Arnold Taylor, who you may know for Star Wars: The Clone Wars fame, that's what I wanted to say, can't speak, as Obi-Wan, and also Johnny Test, like he voices Johnny Test. He's Leonardo, and Nolan North voices Raphael. You may know him for Nathan Drake in the Uncharted series, but we also have, let me check my notes here, Mikey Kelly as Michelangelo. We have like, okay, so Mitchell Whitfield, if that's how you say the name, he voices Donatello, and I think at the time he was mostly known for live action roles, but he has become more of a voice actor, like prominent voice actor in recent years, so I'm counting that. And like for the celebrity stuff, we had Sarah Michelle Gellar, who yes was a celebrity at the time. I think Buffy was probably still airing, or like was only off the air for like a few years, I don't know, but the point is she was a celebrity. I saw her in Scooby-Doo. She voices April O'Neil. We have like Casey Jones, voiced by Captain America, aka Chris Evans. He wasn't Captain America then, but still, you know, you get what I mean. Chris Evans voices him, and Patrick Stewart voices the main villain, Alex Winters, and they all do pretty good jobs, I think. Like, there's some good stuff, the scenes with them. Like, I really like this one scene where, like, Raphael, who's, like, the Night Watcher, he interacts with Casey, and he, like, finds out, and they just have this, like, conversation about, like, you know, how, like, things are kind of difficult at the time, and, like, at that time, and it's, like, it's pretty good. It does end on a joke where, like, Raphael just, like, starts sleeping when Casey starts like talking about his like issues with like April, saying like, I don't know if I'm like, you know, ready to like commit or anything like that, and it's you know, it's kind of ruins the moment, but I still find it a little bit funny. But basically, yes, I think like the main voice actors, like the professional voice actors that voice the turtles, do a really good job, and I think the celebrities that they do have do also a solid job. But something else that really just like surprised me when I was rewatching this movie, like I didn't remember this, but there are also a ton of more like professional voice actors. Like it might be like minor roles, but still there's quite a few prominent ones. Like you'll just randomly hear like Billy West or Grey Delisle or Tara Strong, or like Kevin Michael Richardson voices one of the Stone Warriors, so of course he has a cool voice. But like still there's quite a few names in here. I have some of them, like Jim Cummings is also in this, Fred Tatasciore. It's like, man, there's like I think more professional voice actors than there are like celebrities, which again I think is cool. I feel like more animated movies should do this. Like, you know, like I don't hate the idea of celebrity voice casting. I think if it genuinely, like if they genuinely do a good job with the role, like then okay, then go ahead and cast them. But like I don't want you to just like, I don't want animated movies to just get celebrity voice cast just to have like a poster on a name. I honestly, I would love to see more animated movies like do this whole thing and just have like the main characters be professional, voiced by professional voice actors, and maybe just like more like, I guess, important side characters could be the celebrities, you know? Like, I don't know, I just feel like this is a good mix, and I would like to see more animated movies do this. Oh, and one more thing about the voice actors, guess who voices Master Splinter? It's Mako. Yes, Uncle Iroh from Avatar: The Last Airbender Mako, Aku from Samurai Jack Mako. That Mako voices Splinter in this, or at least for a good amount of the movie. Unfortunately, he did pass away sometime during recording was finished, so they had to get Greg Baldwin, I believe was his name, to go ahead and do the leftover lines. And if you know Greg Baldwin, he is also like known for being like the guy who does imitations of Mako's voice. So same thing happened with Avatar: The Last Airbender, where after Mako passed away, they brought him over to do like the rest of the episodes, you know, his lines. And then for the revival season of Samurai Jack, after, you know, it came out when Mako had already passed away, Greg Baldwin came in to do the voice of Aku. And yeah, so I think both like Mako and Greg Baldwin do a good job playing Splinter in this. And I just think it's so cool that Mako voices Splinter. That's awesome. It's just so cool. And yeah, Greg Baldwin as well. You know, he does a good job imitating the voice, and he's also really cool. Something else that is really impressive about the movie is its animation. So this was done by Imagi Studios, and apparently this was their first movie, which like is kind of surprising because it still looks pretty darn good. Like, yeah, it's not as pretty looking as some of the other major animated movies that came out that year, like Ratatouille or Surf's Up, but it does look better than B movies, so I'll give it that. But animation wise, I think it still looks pretty darn good. Like the movements during like the action scenes are really well done, especially that one thing that I told you with Leonardo and Raphael. And I think the lighting looks really good in a lot of scenes. I like the aesthetic of this movie where it has like you know, like this like the cool lighting and like this like kind of dark scenery. It's like not like edgy, but it's like, you know, it's pretty cool. I think overall like the animation and the visual style looks pretty darn cool. I don't know how else to say it. And I like the designs of the turtles. They look good too. Yeah. One more thing that I want to talk about with this movie is like, okay, so many Ninja Turtles movies, or at least most of the memorable ones, like have a rap song at the end of the movie. Think like Turtle Power by Partners in Crime, spelled with a K, at the end of the 1990 movie, or Ninja Rap, which was in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2: Secret of the Ooze. And even the Michael Bay movie, the 2014 one, ends with Shell Shocked, you know. And this one also ends with a rap, but what I find funny about this one is like, okay, so it's called Shell Shock as well, and it's done by, hold on, wait, I forgot the name. Gym Class Heroes, yes, that's the name. And it starts off with like I guess like a normal Ninja Turtles rap, if that makes any sense, where they say the characters' names, they say Bebop and Rocksteady, they throw that in. But what I find funny is towards the end of the rap, they just start saying Yo Mama jokes, which is like a weird way to end like I guess a rap song for a Ninja Turtles movie. Like, who does this apply to? Like, the Turtles don't have a mom, so it's like, and yeah, like, yeah, I don't know what that's all about, but I think it's funny. But what's really sad is that this song is unfortunately not available on Spotify. What the hell? Now, what if I want to make a playlist with all the rap songs from the Ninja Turtles movies and I can't put this one in there? Come on, this is an issue that applies to everyone, not just me, I swear. But for real though, I like, yeah, the song is, yeah, it's like, I don't know if I would say it's good, but I like it, you know, and I think it's funny that it ends on a bunch of Yo Mama jokes. And I guess, like, one last things to say is my final thoughts on the movie. I still like it a lot. Every time I do rewatch the movie though, I will admit, I find more and more problems with the story. It's not perfect, but what I think it does well, especially with the conflict with like Leonardo and Raphael, is really good. I like the way it looks. I think the action scenes are really good, and I love the use of voice actors in this. I think it has a lot of good stuff in it, and while some of it is like kind of muddled down by its like, you know, story problems, at the end of the day, I still like to rewatch this one because I think the good stuff in it is really good. And yeah, maybe throw in a little bit of nostalgia in there because this was one of the first things that made me, you know about the Turtles, what introduced me to them. And I guess without it, I wouldn't have eventually gone on to like go see the 2012 show and think, oh hey, I know what those are, I should probably check that out. And then like that made me love the show. But I would still like to thank this movie, and I guess fast forward that season of the 2003 show, for introducing me to these characters that I absolutely love. A big question we have to ask is, or at least I want to ask, why isn't this version of the Turtles talked about as much as other ones? Like, it's not like talked about like as positively as other versions of the Turtles, like of course, like some of the cartoons or the 1990 movie, and it's not talked about as badly as the Michael Bay movies or the Next Mutation. It could be because this one, well, like it review-wise, it didn't do great, but it also didn't do terribly. It kind of got just mixed reviews, and commercially, like, and by that I mean like financially, it did pretty good. Like, it made its budget back, and I think like a good amount to like it made over its budget back, but it also wasn't a big success. It wasn't making Pixar levels of money. So it wasn't enough for the company to like really go ahead and continue their plans to make like a trilogy of Ninja Turtles movies, and for them to keep the license. And it also doesn't help that Imaji Studios was also not doing well financially, and a bunch of their projects that they wanted to do ended up not happening, including a Gotcha Man movie, and I think they were even about to pitch a Legend of Zelda movie to Nintendo. And their next movie, which would also end up being their final movie, Astro Boy, failed horribly. And yeah, that kind of canceled any future plans for them to ever do anything with the Turtles or anything at all, because they went bankrupt. They didn't make any more movies, which is kind of sad, honestly, because, well, I will admit, this movie, while I really like it, it's not perfect, and Astro Boy is not a very good movie. It was kind of like cool to see that at the time the Imaji Studios was kind of like the only major, or maybe not major, but one of like the animation studios that was like really wanting to do action heavy movies, like action oriented movies. Like, yeah, a lot of animated movies at the time had action, but like most of them were more like adventure or family movies. These were like legit action movies, which we're seeing more of now in animation with stuff like the Spider-Verse movies and of course the new Ninja Turtles movie. But at the time there wasn't a lot of that, and who knows, maybe if Imaji had like actually been more successful, we could have like seen like more of that. Who knows? Or maybe we could have seen like more of like them integrating professional voice actors into big like Hollywood movies, animated movies, because I think we need more of that. Would Imaji Studios plans for other Ninja Turtles movies have been good? Who knows? Maybe, maybe not. But at least it's good to know that the Turtles are doing pretty good now. With Viacom buying them sometime in the 2010s, we got the Ninja Turtles, the 2012 show, which I absolutely love, and made me like a huge fan of the Turtles. We got like Rise of Ninja Turtles, which I think is a great show as well. We got the Michael Bay. Okay, not everything was perfect, but the new movie, Mutant Mayhem, I think it's awesome. Plus, it's great that we have like another CG animated Ninja Turtles movie on the big screen, and it seems to be doing well. We're actually gonna get a continuation of that, a sequel and a show. So that is awesome. And yeah, go check out that movie. That movie is so awesome. That's a conversation for another day. But anyway, yeah, sad to see that the 2007 movie wasn't successful, but hey, at least, everyone can still see it now. I say go check this one out. It's like on, I believe, Max right now and Paramount Plus, so give it a watch. Also, I think it'd be neat if we got more representation of this version of the Turtles in other Turtle media. Like, I don't know, maybe bring back the villains in something, or like NECA, you're making toys based on the 80s and 90s Turtles. Go ahead and do the 2000s Turtles, like do the 2003 show, or like the 2007 movie. Like, make figures of those. I think that'd be neat. So yeah, that's all I have to say. I like the Ninja Turtles. Yeah, that's it. Bye.
Come to Daddy.